All right, so today I wanted to make a video on how do you get exposure to Bitcoin in a tax-free manner. Now, the first caveat that I would throw out here is I believe that the vast majority of Bitcoin that you hold, you should have in cold storage, meaning you're not going to have it tax-free, right? Now, there is one caveat to that in that generally there's about 3 ways of getting exposure to Bitcoin, at least in a tax-free manner, that I know of. The first one, I have heard of it, but I have no idea how it works. And that would be, I have heard of some people, again, I don't even know how you do it. I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest. But I have heard of people that supposedly have Bitcoin in a Roth IRA. I've never heard of it in a TFSA. So that's something people would have to look into. But as far as the 2 main ways go, there is 2 main ways to get exposure to Bitcoin in a tax-free manner. The first one is through Bitcoin ETFs, right? In Canada, we have BTCC. There is one big problem with the Americans is there is no spot Bitcoin ETF as we stand right now. There is one caveat to that being we have BlackRock and several other big companies that have applied to get one. Up until this point, it has always been a hard no. But we never had a BlackRock or an Invesco try to get a Bitcoin ETF. So the way things look, it's only a matter of time until there is a spot Bitcoin ETF that trades on, the NYSE. And when that happens, that's going to be majorly bullish for Bitcoin, and it's also going to be very good for people who want to trade and for people who want to get exposure in a tax-free manner, right? Now, like I say, the one big caveat is I believe you should be holding the vast majority of your Bitcoin in cold storage, right? What does that mean? On a hardware wallet, right? Not on a phone, definitely not on exchange, on a hardware wallet, right? And why is that? Because that's kind of the whole spirit of Bitcoin, right? That the whole spirit of Bitcoin is privacy, independence, hedge against the system, hedge against inflation, right? How the old saying goes is that if you have to ask permission to get your Bitcoin, it's not really yours, right? Now, again, in my opinion, I believe that taking a small percentage, and I say it, I definitely mean a small percentage, and using it to, for lack of a better word, speculate, I don't think that that's a bad idea, because I think that if you can do this stuff right, you can make a lot of money, right? So that's the second way, right? Bitcoin ETFs. The third way, and I think the most appealing way, is through options, right? Now, there is no spot ETFs right now, meaning there is no good way to trade options on Bitcoin. The best way to do it is through the Bitcoin mining stocks or MicroStrategy, right? MicroStrategy being the company, Michael Saylor's company that just owns a crazy amount of Bitcoin, right? I believe they own over 100,000 Bitcoin right now. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's a crazy amount. So those are the options, right? And again, the reason why I like options is that those are the highest risk, well, they're not even necessarily the highest risk, because when it comes to options, like buying a call option, the data is not coming up for some reason here, but when you buy a call option, your downside, the most you can lose is the price you paid for the option. But technically, you can theoretically gain an infinite amount, right? Because when it comes to stocks, you could go, and same goes for holding Bitcoin, right? It can go to zero, right? It can go to zero. Now, it can go to infinity as well, right? So when you're buying stocks or just straight up Bitcoin, your downside is unlimited, but your upside is also unlimited. When it comes to buying call options, your downside is limited, but your upside is unlimited. Now, people say, oh, that sounds too good to be true. And it kind of is, because when it comes to options, there is a deadline when it comes to time, right? You cannot buy an option that's 50 years in the future. Maybe through futures, but you're limited by the amount of time, right? So options, they're typically in a monthly manner, right? Sometimes they're even weekly if you have liquid enough companies. Now, if a BlackRock gets a Bitcoin ETF, I would hope I don't know for sure, but I would hope that they have weekly options as well. Not that I would ever buy them, because I think those would be way too volatile, right? When I say you should be, again, this is my opinion, right? But when I say that I'm buying options, I'm buying very, very far dated ones, right? I'm going to as far as you can possibly buy, because that's when you're going to make the most money. Now, you're going to have to pay the most premium, but that's how you're going to make the most money. So if you want to do this, now again, it is risky, right? It is definitely risky, so you have to understand that. But if you want to speculate, like I say, for lack of a better way of putting it, I would be buying long dated call options, because if Bitcoin has another bull run, those options are going to 10, 20x, right? You're going to probably at least 10x your money in a matter of a couple years, right? You're not doing that in any other way, shape, or form, at least on a regular basis when it comes to regular investing, right? You're just not going to do that, right? So that's my way of going about it. Now, again, I do it with a very small percentage of money, because this is very, very risky. And again, you are limited by time, right? So what I'm doing is I'm buying, the January through the end of 2025, right? So starting in 2025 through the end of 2025, I'm simply buying the furthest out option you can possibly buy at the highest strike price you can possibly buy. Now, again, you probably want to wait for a little bit of a correction, because these companies have gone up very drastically recently. I would wait for a time to where you get like a 5 to a 10% pullback in a specific day or even week. Then you want to get in, right? Because again, Bitcoin, like we're going to get a 5 or a 10% correction within the next week or month, virtually guaranteed. And that is when the best time to get in would be, right? Again, everything here, my opinion, do your own due diligence. But again, so to sum it up, there's kind of three main ways of doing it. If you can do it through a TFSA or a Roth IRA, that's probably the best way of going about it. That the other way is Bitcoin ETFs. And the other way would be using options on the mining companies or the ETFs if the US does come out with one. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.